Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network and our very first NFL betting card show of the season. I'm with Spread. I'm with Tyler. We're going to talk NFL bets in just 1 minute. That's right. Welcome back to the FanSpeak Network and welcome back to the NFL betting card or NFL betting side of the FanSpeak Network. Don't get me wrong. Basketball season has been amazing. We got 2 more weeks of it. I love it. But I'm happy to join these guys each and every week to get into the NFL betting streets. And we're going to talk about how we're going to have a ton of great NFL betting content right here on the FanSpeak Network and, of course, fanspeak.com. Let me go to you first, Spread. Are you pumped to finally, do you feel so alive talking about NFL betting again?
Man, it's great. And, college football kicks off this weekend, and we're only 2 weeks away to find out on how all these player takes and these rosters we've constructed will play out. But it's not just the best ball streets where we can take advantage of all the study we did this summer. We can do the over-unders for some of the props, so we can take some of these player takes and go ahead and put them in. And that can be fun because let's say I'm right about a player take, but I miss, some other teams and the guy doesn't advance. I can still get paid knowing that a certain player will break out this season.
Exactly. I am definitely, you will see a theme of a lot of my best ball guys will be mentioned in these 2 shows. We are doing NFC best bets today. We'll go through that in a minute. AFC best future bets next Wednesday. And I'm, of course, joined by Tyler, too. He was with us every week during the NFL betting card in season, and he will be this season. And again, we got 2 future shows, and then we'll just roll it right into the in season stuff. So, Tyler, are you pumped to be back in the NFL betting streets?
Yeah, happy to be back. Happy to have football betting back. We get touchdown parlays back. We get the alt props back. It's a long summer, long baseball summer. I can only
it's brutal.
That. And there's only UFC once a week, so it's nice to have football back. And we start off the first week with a Thursday game, a Friday game, college football will be on Saturday, and then a full Sunday slate, and then a Monday night game.
Exactly. Yeah. Say bye to your families. It's nice talking to your family and friends. It's time to watch football almost every single day of the week between college and NFL. But no, I mean, I've made it known I'm an NFL only girl for all content I do. Best ball allows me to do that in the summer, but as much as I love best ball summer, and I do, let me say hi to Jamie in the chat. He's been joining us. Love to see that. Hello, Jamie, and thank you for joining us. As much as I love the best ball summer, and I do, I love the NFL in season. Come on, I want to see my best ball lineups play out. It's the time of year where I make money in DFS, in the underdog dailies, in sports betting for obviously NFL. So yeah, I'm so excited that NFL's back, and we've got some exciting schedule announcement. So you're going to get to see these guys 3 days a week. So every Monday starting in season. So obviously it'll be the Monday after week 1. You'll see them every Monday in a NFL recap show every Monday at 3 p.m. Then every Tuesday, these guys will be coming to you with their sides and totals. Get that to you earlier in the week at Tuesdays at 3 p.m. So I think that'll obviously start the Tuesday after Labor Day, right, guys? Where you're going to be hitting those sides and totals, getting the numbers early for the people. So you will have that every Tuesday at 3 p.m. And then Thursday at 3 p.m. You've got me, you've got Tyler, you've got likely Steve, maybe some of the other guys will rotate in with us. And that's when we get real DGen and we talk about the props, the alts, the anytime touchdowns, the parlays. I make it known. I like to bet a little to potentially win a lot. Am I going to win as often? No. But I like to have fun with it, with the parlays. And then I'll bet, of course, the anytime touchdowns and the alts and that kind of stuff. Have fun with those bets like a unit on them individually. So we'll be tracking everything. We will have everything up on fanspeak.com. We'll have different betting sheets up on fanspeak.com. So you can get it there, but you can get some great content here on the FanSpeak Network. So be sure that you're subscribed. Of course, like this episode. And again, that's going to be our NFL betting schedule, but there's going to be plenty of other in-season schedule announcements. We're going to cover DFS. We're going to cover underdog dailies. We're going to cover underdog pick'ems. And of course, as you can see, we're going to really well cover NFL sports betting. Woo, I'm excited. So any other final thoughts before we get into what we're doing today, guys? I know the countdown to, like you said, college and NFL is on, but any other final thoughts about what you're seeing in the preseason streets? Any really thoughts that are like getting you pumped up to go into your first NFL bets of the year. Spread, I'll go to you first.
Most of my hot takes will be covered in the bets, so we'll save it for that.
Okay. Just Tyler, any hot takes before we get into the bets?
I'm kind of on the same page as Spread. I think a couple of my bets here will get some people riled up because I'm low on a team that somebody's high on this show. So
I know it's coming. I know it's coming.
It's just best ball takes. Like this guy Jaleel McLaughlin was supposed to take Javonte Williams' job. In what world was that going to happen? So
he's trying to get under spreads,
little stuff like that. So we can get rid of bets.
Well, and that's a great thing about this show too. Whether it's these guys talking recap on Mondays, whether it's Spread and Tyler talking sides and totals on Tuesdays, whether it's Tyler and I and Steve or whoever is going to join us on Thursdays, like as much as I love the best ball streets and getting into the drafts, and of course the macro strategies and the positional allocation, the building strategies and the solid player takes, like we are just going to be talking about real football, basically on the channel 5 days a week at least. And that, to me, that's what I'm so excited about. So we're going to be now talking about real football 5 days a week with each other that will then lead to hopefully very positive ROI in, again, the betting streets, the underdog streets, the DFS streets and such. So I'm excited about that. And Spread, as you know, we don't always agree either. Tyler kind of teased, I know one of his bets, he was trying to tease you about Jaleel McLaughlin. I think he's teasing me about the Vikings. We don't always agree, and that's okay. Nobody wants to hear a show where it's like, yep, you're right. Yep, you're right. So we don't always agree, but we talk it through that hopefully that helps the people, right?
Yeah, I can't wait. And boy, pretty early to be victory lapping that, but I'll save that for the AFC show, Tyler, because I have plenty to say about Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos.
Oh, okay. AFC show next Wednesday, 3 p.m. So stay tuned. Again, 3 p.m. next Wednesday, we'll cover the AFC. Let me say hi to Jamie. He asked about, I don't know why it's not showing, but he asked about how many best ball leagues. You'll have to ask Spread too. He's been in the best ball streets for me.
Between 400 and 450.
Okay, you're
now that I'm thinking about it, and he asked me, I should have just quit at 420, but I think I'm a little bit
significant number. I like it. So I made a conscious effort. I did much better on underdog the last 2 years than DraftKings. So I'm an underdog only girl this year. I wanted to do some quality over quantity as far as I wanted to make sure I was hitting those like really, really, really good advance rate, like the Dalmatian and the one they just released, the Chow Chow. And because of that and trying to watch my life bankroll, I decided to do 250 total. So I did plenty of other small. So I basically did anywhere from $3 to $101. And I did 75 BBMs. I'm going to have over 100 of like the good advance rate contests, and then somewhere between 50 plus of like the other stuff, like the weekly winners, the sprint, the marathon, the super flex, that kind of stuff. It'll total above 250. And that helps me hit the, I think, second tier of the rakeback program, the Gladiator rakeback program Underdog has. So 250 gets me, I think, 20% back of rakeback. So wanted to hit that. So that's why. So he said, I thought my 150 was a lot. It is a lot. I mean, my first year, I only did 50. And then last year, I think I was somewhere around what was it? Yeah, I was close to 250 total, but I spread it out over Drafters, DraftKings, and Underdog. And this year I'm 250 just on Underdog. So yeah. But anyways, with that said, this is what we're going to do today. So today, this is NFC best bets. There are going to be 12 NFC best bets. We're each providing 4 of them. So it's going to be a round table. It would go around, each give our favorite bet 4 times, and you're going to get 12 NFC best futures bets. Of course, these are looking in the futures market. It could be any angle of the futures market. And so I'm sure we'll probably all cover different types of angles, which makes it fun as well. So Spread, without further ado, why don't we start with you? And what is your first NFC best futures bet?
In the NFL media and media in general, big mistakes can sometimes overshadow and completely kind of sweep under the rugs some smaller mistakes. The big mistake that I'm referring to was the signing and the trade for Russell Wilson, which really allowed the New York Giants to get away with an unconscionable contract that they gave to Daniel Jones, which he did not deserve because most of his best plays were dumping it off to Saquon Barkley and letting those guys do work. Wink Martindale is gone from this team. Now, I know him and Dayball weren't getting along at all, but I felt that last year he did a good job with average to below average talent, making them at least respectable on the defensive line. Dayball tried to do his best with Tommy DeVito, and of course, that was a fun story. But we're looking at actually winning here in the National Football League and what I consider to be an improved NFC East, because don't look now, Meg, I think that your Washington Commanders are going to be better than the New York Giants, making them the worst team and the worst quarterback in the division. I'm starting us off. I'm going under 6.5 for the New York Giants, and I can't wait to hear who Steve has them projected to draft, because I think after this disaster of the season, they, like the Denver Broncos, will be moving on from an overpriced mistake and drafting high in the draft, looking for a replacement. But unfortunately for fans in the Meadowlands, it's going to be another rough year as the New York Giants fail to win 6.5 games.
All right, I'm getting crafty here with graphics as we're talking. We didn't do any pre-production of this, by the way. I'm just typing as we go along. So spreads first bet, Giants under 6.5. I don't have a problem with that. I would agree with that. I think they are going to have a top 5 pick likely this year, and like you said, be drafting a quarterback this year. So thoughts on that, Tyler?
Yeah, I like that call. I think the Giants are going to be terrible. I think 7 wins is just a little bit too many for them. Love the under 6.5. But I think there is one game they're going to win, and it'll be in my next bet. So I think we should dive right into that.
Oh, golly.
Oh, my gosh. I already know
what's coming. Well, Tyler, let's waste no time. Let's go to you next. I know if this is what I think it is, I'm going to disagree, but that's okay. That's what makes it so fun. What is your first bet?
Yeah, it's gonna be a long graphic here, Meg. Vikings to be the last winless team in the NFL at 10-1. You look at their schedule. They get at Giants week 1. They are 1.5 point dogs in that game. And then after that, if they lose that game, if Brian Burns and Thibodeau they're in the backfield all game, Sam Darnold seeing ghosts, he throws a couple interceptions, Daniel Jones manages to put enough points on the board to win that game, then they get San Francisco. What are they, 10-point dog there? Then they get Houston. There's another huge game. Then they're at Green Bay versus the Jets. Then they get a bye week. Then they play Detroit. Then they're at the Rams. Then they're versus the Colts. Then they're at Jacksonville, at Tennessee. Outside of that at Rams and at Tennessee game, I don't see them winning any of those games. And at 10-1, I'll cross my fingers that the Patriots can upset one of their early games, and we could be sitting on this Vikings ticket. So I'll take a shot at 10-1 on the Vikings to be the last winless team.
Okay.
No other quarterback to go to outside of Darnold, too, if it goes bad early. Like, are you going to Jaron Hall, who couldn't even throw the football last year?
No.
So it could get ugly quick up there.
Yeah, I think the one I really disagreed with that you had. Did you have Vikings with the worst record? Or
yeah, their worst record was like 16-1.
Okay, that I really don't like.
I like this one better.
I like this one better than that, and I'll say this is why I'll say that. Let me put your graphic back up. So when I bet on the teams with the worst record, I'm betting on bad coaching, elite, lacking any elite weapons. Obviously, we have a brand new coach who was under the best coach ever in Belichick in New England with 0 weapons. Who knows when they'll throw Drake May out there, and then I think the Saints have an easy division. That coach is awful. So the coach, I think about which coaches could potentially get fired in season, which coaches don't have elite weapons. I think of teams like the Patriots, the Saints. The Giants, I think, are going to be picking in the top 5, but I think those are the teams that I would take shots at. But of course, you're not going to get as good a number. So this one, I think at 10-1, I think they're going to win week 1 against the Giants to kind of off spreads point. But anything can happen in this crazy game.
But it's almost like a hedge.
Yeah.
If they lose that game, I think they go from 10-1 to probably 4-1 to be the last winless team.
Yeah, because the
schedule is drastically harder than everyone else's at that point.
Okay. Spread, any other thoughts on that while I type out my first one?
At 10-1, it's really hard to argue because, like I said, I can place both these bets. I can take the Minnesota Vikings in week 1, and it's almost like a hedge, and I put it for the same amount as that 10-1. because I think that Tyler's got a great point. If they lose to the Giants, it's going to be some tough sledding for that team. However, I don't think they will, because I do think the Giants are that bad.
Okay, we're going over to my first one, and you'll know about me when we get into the Thursday shows and doing props and parlay, anytime touchdowns and parlays. I like to make bets that I can bet a little to make a lot. Am I going to win a lot of parlays? No. But when I do, it's super exciting, super fun, big rush. So a lot of mine are going to do that for these futures. Number one. Number two, as a part, this is a particular individual line, but it's an awards bet with a bigger number. So I am also, and number three, before I put it up, you're going to see a lot of my best ball player takes coming really into the spotlight in these NFC bets. So NFC offensive player of the year. This is obviously for the whole NFL. Bijan Robinson, 16-1. Offensive, not MVP, because we know that goes to a quarterback. Offensive player of the year. I'm leaning hard into this Falcons improved team, really into the Zach Robinson coming from the Rams tree, really into, I know now there's rumors that, Algier could get plenty of work, whatever. They know who they have in Bijan Robinson. They have another Christian McCaffrey. And if they don't use them as such, they're morons. So I think they will. They, just like I mentioned, I think the Saints are bad. The coach is bad, but they could win more games because they're in a bad division. So are the Falcons, same division. So I think Bijan has a nice schedule to put up some big numbers, and I like Bijan Robinson, offensive player of the year, 16-1 is my first bet. Thoughts, guys?
It's really tough to argue against those big payouts.
Yeah.
I think you have a good idea here. Really, someone with unrealized potential, and I think that what you've done is really look at the tape and not the stats, because you look at the box score. It's a tough bet to make, but when you watch him on tape, he's one of the most explosive players, and therefore we can argue one of the most underutilized players. If I can see that, then Zach Robinson can definitely see that. So tough to argue as much as I want to, Meg, but we're going to be arguing soon, because I heard what you're talking about, and I know we got one that we'll be disagreeing about, but tough to argue with you on this one here.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that, Tyler?
Yeah, I like that bet. It's 16-1. I mean, you're basically betting on what the coach has said all offseason is he's going to get him the ball. And if he gets him the ball, he's going to put up the stats. So he'll definitely have his name in that conversation. Now, if he scores a lot of touchdowns too, he's going to jump a lot of guys in this conversation. My only worry is the guys of Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, all the top guys, Jamar Chase. They could go for 1,700 receiving yards. They're never going to put their name in the MVP conversation. Right. But they're going to skyrocket to the top of the Offensive Player of the Year award. So you're competing with those guys. But if Atlanta is a top 2 team in the NFC, it's probably a lot due to Bijan Robinson too. So I like the 16-1 call. All
right. Now let's go back to you, Spread. We're looping back. That was 3. Let's make it 4. What do you got for your second favorite NFC future bet?
Meg, let's head out west and let's continue with the theme of different offensive coaches here. I'm going DK Metcalf over 999.5 yards. You can just throw 1,000 in there if you want on the ticker here. But what I'm looking at here is when we're looking at these, obviously the books do a pretty good job of using these. And when we're looking at teams like, the 49ers, or the Green Bay Packers that are coming back with the same system, the same set of players, I think they can set some pretty good lines. Where the real uncertainty comes in is with players like you just mentioned, Bijan Robinson completely switching offensive philosophy, and another team doing that on the complete opposite side of the country is the Seattle Seahawks, where they moved on from Pete Carroll. Mike McDonald's in there, but he's going to be all in with that defense. He's going to be spending a lot of time in that defensive room working with those players. And what he's going to do is let Washington offensive coordinator, University of Washington, take over. What did he like to do with Michael Penix? They like to throw the ball down the field. This is what we call a quote unquote modern offense. You can tell that he's been inspired. He'd be a great coach out there at football doing these 7-on-7 drills that these kids are now doing from 4th grade on up. And he was able to get 3 wide receivers involved last year in Washington. That's why 3 Washington receivers got drafted. I don't know when the last time that's ever happened. Maybe back in Steve Largent's day or something like that. Now, So what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, they're going to throw a lot more than usual. These numbers are based off the last couple of years' productions, and I'm going to take the number one receiver on that team. I think they're going to be putting the ball up a lot. I think I'm kind of quarterback proof because I think even if Howell ends up getting in there, he's still going to be targeting DK Metcalf a lot. And with the switch from being a run first, run heavy team to a more quote unquote modern offense where they're going to pass now 55% of the time, DK Metcalf will be a beneficiary of that. I'm going over 999.5 yards.
All right. I like it. Let me, sorry, I was messing with the thing. So, Tyler, any thoughts on that? I totally agree with him. I think Metcalf's I honestly should be drafting him more in best ball, but there's so many other receivers and running backs in that area that I like that I kind of need to get more DK Metcalf. But what do you think on spread's second bet?
Yeah, don't hate that call. I mean, 1,000 yards is low for a receiver like that. And if Geno Smith does implode, you still have Sam Howell as a gunslinger who's going to let that ball fly. So he'd still get up over that 1,000. And there were rumors he might get traded in the offseason, but none of that's ever came to fruition. So I think even a trade, if it does happen, say right before the deadline, that can only benefit him because he's in one of the worst quarterback situations in the league. So he gets
Geno's
moved.
Not that bad. Geno's very accurate.
Not that good either.
He's one of the ones that I am nervous. I know Steve doesn't agree with me. I know others don't agree with me. I know there's some advanced metrics that speak to, that he's better than people think or give him credit for and that kind of thing. And he did. He had a great, season, 2 years ago. He just was banged up. The offensive line was banged up last year. Honestly, I could see it going either way. I could see it going totally back to what it was 2 years ago, or I could see the wheels coming off the wagon a little bit this year in a new offense. So I don't know. I think their offensive line is kind of underperforming. I think it's ranked a little lower than people probably hope based on the draft capital that they've invested in. So I'm kind of shocker in between there, but I'm not totally sold. He's one of the best ball guys that I've drafted the least as my quarterback 3. He and Daniel Jones and Carr. Just worry that there could be some bench risk there towards the end of the year. If things get ugly. So, Tyler, what's your number 2? NFC
we'll just get the 2 Vikings plays out of the way first, Meg.
Oh my God, there's 2 of them.
Sam Darnold to lead the league in interceptions 14-1. I mean, with JJ McCarthy going down, Sam Darnold was only going to be the guy who he was the bridge quarterback for JJ McCarthy. He was going to play 4 to 5 weeks. McCarthy was going to take over. He might not even got the 4 to 5 weeks after watching how McCarthy played in preseason. He might have got 1 to 2. So now he is the de facto starter on this team for the entire year, unless they go out and get somebody. I don't see them going out to get anyone. And at 14-1 on a guy who could just rack up interceptions in a game. Like I told a buddy of mine, I was like, there's going to be a game this year where you bet his over half an interception. It cashes early. You're able to bet the 1.5. He'll cash that for you too. You'll be like, he can't cash 2.5, and he'll cash that and 3.5 for you. So he's going to have some bad games. And the guys in front of him, you have Geno Smith at 10-1. I mean, I think they'll run the ball more with Kenneth Walker before they start just letting Geno air it out. And then we have Josh Allen. And they really don't have receivers to be airing the ball out to. So I think they're going to be more of a run team too. So I'll take the shot on Sam Darnold. I don't trust Aaron Jones to just run the ball 20 times a game either. I don't think Ty Chandler's all that good. They're gonna.
I love Ty Chandler. You don't think Ty Chandler's that good? Here comes our disagreements already.
I don't think he could come in and just offset that entire offense where it's like I'm going to run the ball.
No, he's not going to dominate. But I like him as a backup to Aaron Jones.
As a
1-2 with Aaron Jones, I should say.
But say Aaron Jones hamstring problems come back, like Ty Chandler's not going to just lead this backfield. They're going to have to throw the ball 30 to 40 times a game, and that is not a recipe Sam Darnold wants to be in, even with Justin Jefferson. So I'll take that 14-1 shot on him to lead the league in interceptions.
All right. Well, again, I'm a little pushed back on the Vikings hate. I just think an insanely good coach in KOC, the best receiver in the league, and Justin Jefferson. I just think that
I'm gonna ask you one thing, Meg.
Sure. Yeah.
Why is he quote unquote insanely good? He had a 13-4 year where they had a negative point margin, and
first of all, he just comes from the Shanahan McVay tree. So anybody that just falls off that tree is insanely good. No, I mean he uses the, and I'm not like total X's and O's. I'd like to say that I know ball, but I'm not. That's not like I'm going to break down a play in X's and O's for you. But I know I really am intrigued by these offensive coordinators that use a lot of pre-snap motion, that are getting, the doing more of the 3 wide receiver sets, doing those kind of things, and being a more creative offensive play caller. I think he is that. And I mean, yes, he had a very successful season, but I just think, and yes, he had Kirk Cousins for a season and a half, but even his quarterbacks last year, Dobbs and Mullins, and well, not Jaron Hall, he was terrible, but they put up numbers in his offense. They put up numbers. Even a couple of the games were without Jefferson and just with Addison and Hawkinson. So they do have weapons. I do think he's a very good play caller coming from that McVay Shanahan tree. Much more creative play caller. And then, it's just the weapons that they have. Darnold has never had these weapons. And think about it, he was a starter with the Jets, terrible. Carolina, he had DJ Moore, but that's about it. And then he was back up last year in 49ers. So, we've seen that Geno was one of them. Ryan Tannehill's another, Baker's another. We see these guys, and maybe they don't become like long-term great NFL starters, but like you said, they're probably enough to get paid somewhere else or something along those lines. I just think that's in the range of possibilities. I think when you have this good of a coach and this good of an elite weapon, number one weapon, and quite honestly, weapons in general, once Hawkinson comes back and if Jordan Addison doesn't get suspended for long, that's why I'm a little more bullish than you. But that's where the pushback comes in. Spread, thoughts to break the tie or thoughts on this?
Because it's interceptions, I can't really argue with them. I think that Josh Allen's going to be his biggest problem. Because
especially with the receiving core.
Yeah. And does he keep the job the whole time? If they are as bad as he thinks, they might just put someone else in there for the sake of doing it. I like, you don't want to lose the locker room, right? If Tyler wins that other bet, right? Is Darnold still going to be in there? If they're 0-10 or whatever.
Jaron Hall was so bad last year.
But I think you just have to do something for the sake of doing something, just so you don't lose the locker room. I don't know if you can keep.
Do they call the Saints and trade for Derek Carr? Like, that's the one thing I've thought about.
I think it's so hard to trade for a quarterback in the middle of the season because of learning the system. It's not like baseball or basketball where you just plug right in.
Very true.
Yeah.
And if they're that bad, the season's lost, and you start looking ahead to next year, you already have your quarterback most likely in McCarthy, so you're going to be able to pick off an awesome position player, kind of like the Raiders did with Brock Bowers. But because everyone's so quarterback thirsty, in those top picks, even Marvin Harrison to go at, what did he go, pick 4? Joe Alt at pick 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get some great value there. My guess is if they're that bad, they look ahead to next season and he might get benched. But between the two bets, right, I think you got some good looks here.
This is in the universe now. So you know how I say, like with rookie quarterbacks, we need to give it like 2 or 3 years before we can fully say like, okay, what's the deal on Drake May and Jaden Daniels? We can't just like react to like 3 weeks of play. With this, like, it'll be interesting to see where we stand 6 weeks in, halfway in, season in. So if I'm wrong and Darnold is benched and Tyler's hitting all these, smashing all these, I give you full permission to victory lap all over me. But I'm going to do some Poppy Willies and be victory lapping on you guys if Darnold plays a full season and has success in a KOC offense with Jefferson.
Yeah, I think Darnold's better than Tyler's giving him credit for, but the thing is, Josh Allen's really good and he throws a lot of interceptions. So
he can
having a lot of interceptions doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be losing a lot of games, especially we'll see. I like Brian Flores, so I think the defense is going to be pretty good, but if they're playing from behind a lot, we could see some interceptions that the coaches don't downgrade you for, right? If you're down by 10 with less than 4 minutes to go, you got to give it a shot. That's way different than throwing an interception with the lead or throwing an interception at the beginning of the game. So that's where this bet gets a little more tricky. Still hard to argue here. I just got a text from my buddy. He said, don't count out Baker Mayfield in this conversation as well.
My slight pushback just to how you named Geno, you named Baker as the guys like that Sam Darnold kind of did it after. Like, we seen Baker show flashes in Cleveland. Like, he had that one year, I think it was from week 11 to the final to the end of the year where they beat Pittsburgh in the wild card game. He was the best quarterback rated in the entire league from week 11 on. Geno showed flashes on the Jets. There hasn't even been a
You never showed
flash.
flashes on the Jets?
A little bit before he got punched in the head by a teammate.
Okay. What about Tannehill? Didn't show many flashes in Miami before
he got him to a wild card game.
Okay. I guess I forgot about
like
that.
I haven't seen anything out of Darnold his entire career. Mind you, he's probably dealt the worst hand of those guys.
I was gonna say there was some pretty bad hands.
There's been nothing, so he's got to prove me wrong.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see. Again, this will be a fun one to revisit. So, I'm going to bring over FanDuel because I put it up in the parlay builder. And just make it easier because I'm not typing this all out because it's a parlay. And again, yes, leaning into a lot of my best ball player takes in this. Again, these are NFC best bets only. So NFC best future bets. This is my second one. And as we said, I like to do bet a little to win a lot, have a little fun. I also, as we know, like to be a touchdown hunter. You'll see that on the Thursday shows. Love the anytime touchdowns, Tyler. And I love the anytime touchdown market. We are going to have a time with that on Thursdays every week at 3:00. But I'm going to bring over my, running back touchdown parlay. Might need to blow it up so you can see it better. Give me a minute here. Nope. Now that made it worse. Okay. So I've got Christian McCaffrey, 12 rushing touchdowns. I believe he got 14 last year in 16 games. Kyron Williams, 10 rushing touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 10 rushing touchdowns. And Bijan Robinson, 8 rushing touchdowns. I actually think with the whole offensive player of the year, I think some of his are going to come in the air. So did Christian McCaffrey's. He scored 17 total last year, I believe. But I actually believe Bijan can go higher than this to 10. But I was, or even 12, but I went a little conservative in this, in my opinion. The nice thing about a parlay like this, if you like one or two of these, just bet it single or put 2 together. I went lotto style and did 4, and you get a 35-1 bet for, again, CMC 12 touchdowns, Kyron 10, Jacobs 10, Bijan 8. These are rushing only, 35-1. So fun parlay. Thoughts, guys?
Kind of hope that one doesn't hit because I've been doing a lot of 0 RB builds.
You're more on DraftKings.
And if that hits, all those guys are gonna pay off their ADP.
Well, oh my God, I know. And you need health too. I mean, that's with all these and
that's where I think you can get tripped up here.
Oh, for sure.
These running back parlays, but McCaffrey.
Don't worry, I have a quarterback and receiver one too.
Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to that. Kyron Williams, he looks like he's going to get the usage. I don't think that his health is that much more in question than any other player.
He's
Jacobs,
the one health-wise.
I'm going to be talking about Jacobs coming up here soon, so we'll leave that one out. And then, of course, Bijan at 8. If you said you only can bet one of those, that's the one that I would bet.
Yeah, you get plus odds at 8. He's plus 115, and I want to say he's plus 240 if you want to go up to 10 for Bijan. Plus 270 if you. Again, this is rushing only. Thoughts, Tyler, before we get over to the next one?
Yeah, I don't hate the parlay, Meg. I mean, they all went over those numbers last year except for Bijan, I believe.
Right.
And you're betting though. If I was to bet one, it would be Bijan. I think he gets the increased work. Jacobs in Green Bay should be better. It's going to be tough to tackle that dude mid-December and January in Lambeau Field, especially once he gets into space. My worry about Kyron is if he makes 1 or 2 mistakes, we know McVay will instantly turn to the RB2. They didn't draft Corum as high as they did for no reason. They like him. I could see him stealing some of those looks from Kyron Williams. And I have a hunch that CMC's getting hurt this year. He's only ever gotten that much work one other time in his career. And the next year, he had more injuries than the 49ers already have total in camp. So I think he's already dealing with the calf injury too. So I think it could be an injury-plagued year for CMC.
Well, I hope not. Somehow I've gotten the number one pick 12% of the time.
If I draft 1-1 in my little fun fantasy leagues at work, I will not be picking CMC.
Okay, you take Lamb?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, take Tyreek.
You go Tyreek?
If I don't take CMC, I would take CMC though.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the biggest worry with any of these parlays, and I have two more, spoiler alert, that again, one for receiver, one for quarterbacks, is, if one of these guys goes down, you're screwed. So, obviously it's a risk. You're needing the health to stay. But I wanted to lean into the first parlay. I have made the big stand because I'm underdog only. So and I believe you've done this on underdog, that I do want to take advantage of the falling running back values in best ball and get a double anchor type build. So I love getting like two of these guys in best ball. You've done that more on underdog, right? Spread?
Yeah, I like the
Anchor,
running backs
double
a lot
anchor?
more on underdog.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you said you've been big in the zero RB, but that's on DraftKings, which obviously Spread just did a DraftKings draft yesterday. Check that out.
Although I did do 2 RBs to start yesterday.
You did that, but you rarely do that on DraftKings. You do, but
Right.
you do that more on underdog. And that's where it makes sense on underdog. You're touchdown hunting. Let's think of the touchdown market. Obviously, unless it's like the elite guys like Chase, Lamb, Hill, Jefferson, you're getting the better numbers on the running backs. And so, yeah, I'm leaning into this. Hope these running backs do stay healthy so that I can get some of these double anchors to work. Jamie asked, do you believe it was a wasted pick for Cornerstone on the bench? I just think I think he could get like a 30% roll. I don't think they want to run Kyron into the ground, but I think he's still going to get the high value touches. And I think they're a playoff contender. They want to have like a guy, if Kyron goes down, whether it's 2 weeks or a long term, which I hope not, that they have someone that can fill right in. So I personally don't think he's a threat to steal from Kyron, other than like maybe taking a little off his workload, and getting like a 20 to 30% of his own workload. So I think he has a little bit of standalone value, but I think they did that draft capital to just protect themselves. I don't know. Your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of agree there. Maybe we'll see a little more to running back work from McVay, but we know this is a guy that wants to leave his main players on the field, much to the detriment of Todd Gurley's second contract. So I think they run Kyron into the ground until he can't go no more. And I think that's one of the reasons they'll be able to do it, because they're like, boy, if he gets hurt, we're going to have this guy coming in fresh at week 8, week 9. That Jamie's not the only one who thinks that he's more explosive. Steve thought so, and a number of scouts that I read thought so as well. But with Kyron, you already have the familiarity with the offense. He was able to produce last year.
He was a McVay guy too. Yeah,
I have more concerns about that offensive line that can't stay healthy. They are already having guys drop out, and I also wonder if they're going to be playing from behind more this year, because I think that we're going to see how good Aaron Donald really was, and we're taking away the stat sheets because a lot of times he got triple teamed, didn't put anything on the stat, like as far as a sack or a forced fumble or tackle for loss. However, it made all the other players look good. If that's the case, Rams defense falls off a little bit, maybe not as many opportunities to rush the ball.
Yeah. Okay. Spread. Let's go. Your third pick. So we are halfway through. You have 6 NFC futures that are our favorites. Now we are on to the second half. Your third. So our 7th pick. What is your third NFC best future?
I'm taking a player right out of your parlay, Meg, a player that left my Las Vegas Raiders for greener pastures, so to speak, as he heads up to the Green Bay Packers. This is kind of a hedge on my Marshawn Lloyd shares.
Okay.
I was really high on Marshawn Lloyd.
I know. For a period of time, I was. Yeah.
Steve told us he's got some fumbling problems coming out of USC. Those came up in camp again. Now the hamstring.
And he can't stay healthy. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the hamstring. What does that mean? I just spent a lot of money on a running back. I think it's like a 2-year deal. We're not planning on keeping him here for the next 10 years. What am I going to do if I'm Matt LaFleur? I'm going to go to the big beast that's shown that he can handle this style of workload. Now, you went touchdowns. I went yards.
Okay.
I went over 985.5 yards. It's on Bookmaker. I got plus 121 on this play. Now, let me say a couple other reasons here. You think Jordan Love's going to be pretty good, Meg, right?
I do.
If Jordan Love is pretty good, they should be playing with the lead, which is going to give Jacobs more opportunities. So while those touchdowns can be kind of fickle, I think the yardage for me, you notice I go for yardage more because it's more of a usage style deal. And we've been finding usage all summer with best ball. I was high on Jacobs to start. down on him when we looked at Matt LaFleur talking about, I want to run with 2 running backs, and they've always run with 2 running backs, even when Aaron Jones was in his prime. But I simply don't think that Marshawn Lloyd is going to be able to hold on the ball or stay healthy enough to really take away from Josh Jacobs. And now with the 17-game season, 1,000 yards rushing is not crazy like it was, back before I was born in the 14-game seasons. I think it's going to be pretty easy for him to get there. I'm assuming this Green Bay offense is going to be good. They'll be playing with the lead, and Josh Jacobs is going to be that big dog in the backfield, over 985.5 yards at plus 121.
I like that it's plus money banger, and I am praying that you are right, because I have over 20% of Josh Jacobs in best ball. Because like I said,
I think that's great.
Double anchor RB builds on Underdog. We're touchdown hunting. We're looking for these, bell cows, and so I'm
and a guy who could potentially get a lot of work outdoors in those weeks.
Yeah,
15,
Tyler
16,
mentioned that.
17.
You're mentioning that. That's an excellent point as well. The time of the year when we can make the most money in best ball. But to our point in trying to make money in the betting market, whether it's I like the touchdowns, I like touchdown hunting, you like the yards and the usage, I think it makes a ton of sense there. You like this one, Tyler?
Yeah, I like this play. I mean, I wouldn't even mind bumping this up to 1,000. You'll probably only get an extra, like 30 cents, but it's only 14 yards. So you should be able to get those extra 14. And you might even catch a rare number where, say, this 985 is plus 120. Maybe even able to find them to rush for 1,000 at 2-1, to where you're getting all that. You're getting extra 80 cents for 14 yards. So I'd maybe shop around, see if you can find that 1,000 at a little better of a price.
Yeah. I'll have to look at actually that. Well, I put up your next one. Look what it is on FanDuel, because they kind of do break out the parlay builder by like 1,000, 1,250, and then I'll look that up. But Tyler, what is your third bet?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm very surprised this one made it around the board 3 times. It's kind of a chalk bet, but I'm putting the 49ers Super Bowl ticket in my pocket at 6-1. Why
there you go.
They were winning the entire Super Bowl last year every time their offense stepped off the field. Yep. It took the greatest quarterback of all time stepping on the field and stealing the game away from them. Could it happen again? Could that be the same guy waiting for them? Of course it could be. But the moment they re-sign Ayuk, because he's not getting traded to Pittsburgh, they might be plus 500, plus 450 area to where now they're higher than the Chiefs. They basically return every one of their key players from last year. The only thing that could really make them worse would be injuries. So at 6-1, I mean, best roster in the league. I'll put that 6-1 ticket in my pocket.
I love that. They should have won the Super Bowl last year. They're running it back. They got the band back together, likely with Ayuk. We're still waiting, obviously. But yeah, all your points, I agree. They should have won last year. Spread, thoughts on this while I build my next parlay?
6-1 looks good to me. You got great hedge possibilities. Even if you do have to face Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, you can escape that game with a guaranteed profit if the 49ers are on the other side. So I like the position you're putting yourself in there.
Okay, I'm finishing building a receiver parlay.
My only surprise you took that is if you think CMC is getting injured, because he's pretty vital to that offense. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, I think any running back behind that offensive line, like he might not put up CMC numbers, but like Elijah Mitchell and Jordan Mason could be good runners behind that offensive line. We know Purdy can throw the ball too. Even if CMC goes down, I think they'll still be a very potent offense. And let's be honest, you look around the NFC, like I know everyone loves Detroit, but again, I'm going to say it. I said it last year. Dan Campbell's going to make decisions in the playoffs that lose them those key moments. Did it last year. Philadelphia, we're not sure what this new coaching staff is going to look like. Dallas is Dallas. They're not going to beat anyone in the playoffs. Green Bay is one that can get hectic, but outside of them, like, am I trusting Kurt on a post-Achilles injury? Like, I don't know about that. Like, so San Francisco might just have another easy path through the NFC.
I mean, the NFC is not the gauntlet that the AFC was. So the AFC wasn't much of a gauntlet near much of it due to injuries and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I love this bet. I love the 49ers. And after watching receiver, George Kittle and Debo are pretty damn fun to root for. Did you guys both watch receiver?
I have not.
No.
I couldn't get you to watch quarterback spread, and now I can't get you. I mean, it's got your guy Devontae in it. You don't want to see Devontae?
You don't want to see him get mad at your former man crush, Jimmy G?
Oh, he does get mad. He does. He totally does get mad at him.
I can't do it. Is Jimmy G on a team this year? He's on the
he
Rams.
Was supposedly the backup for the Rams, but I read something that he might not even make the roster.
It is falling for Jimmy. Okay, So that was Tyler's third. My third is another parlay. Again, you can bet these individually. You can water it down. You can bet only a couple. I went total lotto style with 4 of my favorite receivers in the NFC to score 8 to 10 touchdowns. So I've got Mike Evans. He scores 10 plus touchdowns every year, plus 170. Justin Jefferson, if you don't like Darnold, you can water this down to 8, but he is Justin Jefferson still. They're going to get him the damn ball. There's no Hawkinson at the beginning of the season. 10 plus touchdowns, you're getting plus 210. Cooper Kupp, plus 145 for 8 touchdowns, and Drake London, plus 150 for 8 touchdowns. Again, bet them individually, parlay the ones you like, water it down. But if you do this, you get 50 to 1. Again, I'm just having some fun, and likely I'll probably do something where I combine my favorite AFC and NFC ones. But individually, the spread, what do you think of these guys individually?
I like that parlay, but call me Kendrick because I'm taking out Drake. He's just got too much.
I love a spread pun. I love a spread pun. It's so
yeah,
good.
glad I got to sneak that in there. That was just
Thank
off top
God.
of the head.
I know it was your second one. You had a pun
prep.
earlier too. You had a pun earlier. Good. I like it.
Too much target competition in the red zone between Pitts, Bijan, potentially Algier. I'm just a little worried about Drake London. I like the other 3. I mean, Cooper Kupp. Technically, you're just betting on health, but if he's out there 14 games, he gets there.
He actually had a better red zone percentage than Puka last year. A red zone target.
Yeah, I think some of the Puka loves being overblown by his target percentage in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, Justin Jefferson, if you're as bad as Tyler thinks you are, and I think that Darnold's a little better than he's giving him credit, you're still throwing to a wide open receiver. That makes a lot of sense. And then, of course, Mike Evans. 1 year, that's not going to work, but let's just keep betting it until it does.
Didn't work 2 years ago. He got 7, I think, 2 years ago. But other than that, it's been like 4 years in a row, like 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5 where he's gotten 10 touchdowns. I mean, he's just like a machine for 1,010, basically. So,
yeah.
So, yeah. Tyler, any thoughts on these guys? I know you probably don't like the Jefferson leg, but any thoughts on these guys other than the Jefferson leg?
I'm on the same page as spread. I like Jefferson better than Drake London.
Oh, okay. Okay. That surprises me.
It's just Drake London has proved nothing to me in my eyes. Like, he's a huge
he doesn't have a quarterback.
Of
he's like the Darnold of receivers. He's had a shitty situation.
I know, but like even in college, like he was decent in college, but he just never like showed that like pop of like, oh, I can just dominate games similar to these guys. Like I rebuilt that same parlay, Meg.
Yeah.
Just swap Drake London for CD Lamb and you get a 40 to 1 ticket. I'd much rather have CD Lamb in there.
Okay. I was trying to go with the guys that we haven't seen it yet. Maybe we get a little better number on it. But yeah, I think Vegas is building in. He's got Kirk Cousins. And so it's not like you're getting that. Because what's CDs? Because, well, that was 10.
CDs for 10 touchdowns is plus 100.
I was going to say, because this is for 8, not 10. This is for 8. So I have Evans and Jefferson at 10, Kupp and London at 8. And for 8, you get plus 150. But I get what you're saying. CD Lamb for 10, much safer bet for sure.
Or, I mean, this is just another one it's 10 cents better than Drake London.
I
would honestly rather have the rookie Marvin Harrison at 8 touchdowns at plus 160.
You worried about the red zone, like what spread said for
worried about that. Worried about if
I'm worried about Trey McBride and Connor. Yeah. He gets plenty of those high value touches inside the 5-10 yard line. So that's the only thing I'd say there. But I mean, my God, Marvin Harrison is obviously one of the best prospect specs we've ever seen here at the receiver position. So I think that's worth a shot. So yeah. Okay. Well, again, had to stay in the touchdown lane, had to stay in the fun parlay lane. Do with you what you want, make it your own. But those are some of my favorite guys in the NFC. So that takes us to our fourth and final round here. We each have one to give us 12 total bets. So spread, what is your fourth and final best NFC bet?
Meg, put on your boxing gloves. Here we go. I know you hate Dennis Allen, but I'm going over 7.5 wins for the New Orleans Saints. I think they will have the best defense in that division. And we know that Dennis Allen can coach up a defense. What he needs to do is just get out of that offensive room altogether. They brought in Kubiak, who's another Shanahan guy. We love these Shanahan trees.
We do.
And they've got the weapons to at least be an average offense. And if the defense is as good as it's looked and as good as it could possibly be, I think that we kind of underrate how good that Saints defense is because Derek Carr and the offense were so bad last year. Now,
you said over 7.5.
Still got Olave.
Right?
I still got Alvin Kamara. We all think Jawan Johnson's going to be okay. And I know you've got some Rashid Shaheed shares as well. If this offense can just be average, 8 wins, it doesn't even mean they make the playoffs. It doesn't even mean they make the playoffs. It doesn't even mean they beat the Falcons. But we know how tough these division games can be. And I think that defense will travel. I got the New Orleans Saints over 7.5 games.
Oof, spread. I mean, I go to Tyler too, but I don't like this one. This is where
I know you wouldn't. I knew you wouldn't, and we had to do some.
I think Dennis Allen is awful. They got rid of that terrible offensive. What was that guy's name? He was there forever under Sean Payton. The name's escaping me. The old offensive coordinator was just a dinosaur.
And it wasn't working. Yeah,
it wasn't working. But so maybe this QB thing will be good. Offensive line is ranked pretty bad though. But you're leaning into like defense and just Carr doing enough with Olave and Kamara, basically.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a playoff. This isn't Super Bowl. This is just simply 8 wins in a division that we still don't rate that highly.
No, definitely not.
We still don't rate it that highly. If Cousins slips up, Cousins gets an injury, who knows what's going on in Tampa Bay. We're going to find out how much of that success from Baker was due to Dave Canales. Of course, if that's true, that the Panthers get a little better. But regardless, you look at the Saints defense and you compare it to a Panthers defense that's pretty good, but they're still going to be better. They should be getting 2 wins there. I think they can split with the Falcons. They usually always beat the Bucs. And right there, I'm at 5 now. I just need to win 3 out of division games. They got a great home field advantage down there in the Superdome. We know it gets loud. We know they think they're going to get some calls. So I know it's a tough click to make, but I'm going to go ahead and go with the Saints.
I think Dennis Allen might be the first one canned. That's my prediction.
I'm in that boat.
Yeah, I mean, that could happen too.
Yeah.
And if that happens, I'm still okay with my bet because I'll get 1 win right there off a new coach bump, most likely.
You do get
let's
that.
Let's say he gets fired, right? And it's
I was going to say, how many did the Raiders win last year?
We're going to be on the NFL betting card, and we're going to bet them.
Yeah. What did the Raiders end up winning last year after firing McDaniels? Because they went on a little run.
They were 8-9, I believe.
Okay. Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, that can happen then. Get rid of Dennis Allen. Maybe he's my prediction for first coach.
I think you need 2 things gone for this bet to work. You need the coach gone, and they need to kick Derek Carr out and let Spencer Rattler play.
And that's a possibility too. And
plus, didn't it feel like Carr last year? Like every series, he was going sidelines, like keeled over, and you're like, he's out. Like that's another thing.
I think he could be pretty close to done. I know that Brady and Rodgers are able to play until they're older, but we've seen other players. Jimmy G, we just talked about him. They get 33, 34, and it's just too many hits on their body. That can be the case as well. Fortunately, this is a more quarterback-friendly system. He's not going to be required to push it down the field as much. There should be a lot of dump-offs to Kamara, a lot of there's just the ball out early, getting into these guys in space, letting them do the work rather than relying on him to be pinpoint with his deep passes, which is something that's definitely regressed throughout his career. So really kind of I agree with you. I think Derek Carr is pretty close to the end. But if this coaching upgrade is as big as I expect, this is going to be an easy win because that defense is good. And I think that we've been looking at fantasy all summer and haven't really looked at how solid this defense really could be.
Jamie agrees with you. He says Saints can possibly win this division with how bad it is. It is, one of the.
And I think we're getting a little better price because of the Falcons love. And that Falcons love may end up being warranted, but it might also just be some fantasy love. And, they put up a bunch of great stats, but their record is still middling.
Falcons defense is still weak.
It's actually pretty good, and Raheem Morris should improve it.
Yeah.
Looking at this Saints defense on paper, I mean, they legit remind me of the Steelers defense without the stud of TJ Watt. Like, you have old-ass Cam Hayward, Pete Warner, Demario Davis, Willie Gay, the Honey Badger, and Marshawn Lattimore as your key pieces. Everyone's like a senior citizen except for the Marshawn Lattimore. So,
but there's also advantages. These guys aren't going to get lost in coverage. They're going to be able to communicate. They're going to be able to play more complex schemes because it's not rookies. There are some advantages to having veterans. I mean, I know it's great to have young, fast players running around the field, but how many times have we just simply seen them make mistakes?
Oh, for sure.
So I think the fact that they're veterans, it can be rough here, but I think that you're giving, we got to give credit to these guys being older and smarter. And we know that strong defensive coaches like having these smart players because they can put in more complex schemes.
Yeah. Okay. Tyler, let's hear your fourth and final. And I put spread 3, but that was spread's fourth one. So let's hear your fourth and final NFC best bet.
Yeah, don't really have much of like numbers behind this. This is more of like a narrative play because I think this is the most narrative based award in the NFL. And I think last year proved it. Defensive player of the year. There is one guy left in the group that hasn't won one yet who hangs out at the top of the odds every year. And it's Michael Parsons plus 550. TJ Watt's won his. They gifted Myles Garrett his last year. I think Michael Parsons could play subpar this year. And if that defense ranks high, he will walk into that Defensive Player of the Year award. If he plays and puts up stats anywhere near the other guys, I think it's his to run away with this year. They want to make sure all these guys win it, it seems like. They're not just going to load up like how Darnold did when Darnold won, 3 in a row, 4 in a row. Like, TJ Watt should have won 3 in a row, and they bounced those awards around to everyone else. I think Micah slides in and gets his this year.
What's the number on this?
Plus 550.
Okay. Spread? No, I like that. Spread. They lost some pieces. He's just going to have to even step up even more. What do you think about this one?
Can't argue here.
Yeah.
5.5 to 1, and arguably the best defensive player in football. It's tough to make an argument.
Yeah, no, I absolutely like that one and agree. Fun that we mixed some awards ones in here too, but I did the first one award and then I did 3 touchdown parlays. The third one is coming here. I did running backs. I did receivers. Now it's time to do the quarterbacks. So for my fourth and final bet, let me share my FanDuel screen here, the parlay I just built. And these are basically the guys that led the league last year and for Dak and Cousins in prior years too on touchdown rate. And Dak, we know, is going to be throwing at a high rate again this year with obviously the running back situation. So you've got Dak Prescott, 35 passing touchdowns plus 290, Jordan Love, 30 plus touchdowns plus 150, Kirk Cousins, 30 plus touchdowns plus 150, Brock Purdy, 30 plus touchdowns plus 150. All of these would have hit last year if Kirk would have stayed healthy. All the other ones did. These are the highest touchdown rate guys in the league. That's why I like them. Again, take them individually, parlay how you like them, water it down if you don't like Dak for 35. But that's a parlay I like that you get 50 to 1 and you're just having a little fun. But what do you think of that spread?
Good player takes. I think your biggest issue would be health here.
Yeah. For all these parlays, we need the guys to stay healthy for sure.
Yeah. And quarterback, it's a little tougher, right? Because they do have to take the hit.
Yeah.
Kind of, Cousins coming off an injury. That would be the one that would concern me the most out of the players you put on there.
Yeah, and he's the one that didn't get there last year. I'm looking at StatMuse right now. Last year, the Dak 36, Love 32, Brock Purdy 31. So all would have cleared this for those 3. Cousins was the 4th or 5th highest touchdown rate through 6 weeks of 7 weeks, whatever. But obviously he was not going to get there with the injury. So yeah, you need the health for sure. But make it your own, make it fun. Tyler, any thoughts?
Yeah, love the Dak leg, love the Jordan Love leg. The Kirk one worries me, just like Spread said. But just looking at the board you have pulled up right there, I wouldn't mind swapping Kirk for Jared Goff. Jared Goff's going to play 14 out of 17 games in a dome. As long as David Montgomery doesn't punch in 15 to 20 touchdowns on the ground.
That's the risk.
Which they did last year. Their red zone run percentage was one of the highest in the NFL.
That's what scares me about Goff. They get run heavy in the inside the red zone. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a big worry, but I think I trust Goff a little bit more than the post-injury Kirk.
Yeah, I get it. I get that. There's some fun names up here. If you feel like a Burrow bounce back, so you got CJ Stroud, for 30, you're getting plus odds on all these guys.
Caleb plus 310 to throw 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
With an easy schedule like that could be.
He's 22 and a half offshore or 23 and a half. For the
so it's his regular line. So that's why you're getting plus 310.
I would just go with that
to go 30. So Yeah. So this was fun. Again, you're getting a little taste of what Thursdays with Tyler and I will look like, because we're going to be, talking a lot of touchdowns, talking a lot of alts, a little plus odd bangers, some fun parlays. And then again, these guys are going to be breaking it down on Tuesdays, sides and totals, and then Mondays, the recap. But this was a ton of fun, guys. Spread, final thoughts on the NFC here before we get out of here and get ready for the AFC next week.
Fun show. We got some great picks out of here, and I can't wait to come back next week to preview the AFC and to form the Bo Nix Appreciation Society.
I like it. A little tease there. Tyler, any final thoughts on the NFC here?
I will not be joining that society. I will say that. So next week should be fun. I think the NFC is going to be pretty cut and dry. I think it's going to be the same teams from last year that were at the top. I don't see anyone emerging, driving their way all the way up to the top, similar to how Houston did in the AFC last year. So I think it's pretty cut and dry. 49ers, Detroit, Green Bay. Those are going to be your teams. Philly, Dallas. Those will be the teams at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with you there. This was a fun future show. Maybe we'll get up a futures, a lot of prep next week for our in-season, content and getting stuff switched over on the website from best ball to in-season. And maybe we'll throw these up on the website as well for futures.
No, maybe. Let's get that done.
Let's get that done. Thank you, Fred. Thank you for telling me what's up.
We got some good plays here.
There's no maybe. No maybe. Yeah. Jamie liked it. He said, great bets. Let's win some money. Let's go. Okay. So Jamie's on board. There's no maybe. Thank you, Fred. I needed a little pep talk there. We're getting that done. Next week, this is a busy rest of the week, because as you see on the ticker below, Friday, 8-hour live stream, 4 to midnight. I'm going to be tweeting the guest list here in a minute. It's exciting. It's fun. Spread is going to be part of it, doing Jeopardy against Steve. If you saw a few weeks ago, a few episodes back, I played Andrew in Best Ball Jeopardy. I lost, and it was a tough loss for me. But we're running Jeopardy back, Best Ball Jeopardy, Steve versus Andrew at, I believe, 9 p.m. Eastern. But I will run down the full guest list on Twitter, so be sure to mark your calendar. Join us, whole time, several times, however you want, but we will be on 8 hours, 4 to midnight on this Friday, August 23rd. We'll have some giveaways. It's just going to be a fun time, kind of celebrate that end of best ball summer. So this has been a lot of fun, guys. I can't wait for next week to run it back with the AFC. And then, of course, we've already teased our in-season schedule. I absolutely can't wait for that. So very much looking forward to it. For Spread, for Tyler, I'm Meg, and we will see you next time.